commitment to your goal, commitment to your project, commitment to your purpose. If you figured that out, everyone can't go. And that's a hard pill to swallow. But we're going to talk about that today. We're going to share some stories, some stuff that we've learned, personal experiences. Anybody who wants to jump on in, we're accepting requests to jump on in and talk about, again, how commitment, how you've seen that your commitment to a specific goal has jeopardized and sometimes even, disintegrated relationships potentially, because that's what it means is everybody can't go. All right. So y'all know what we do in the beginning. We leaders are readers. We got book bars, Who, Not How, by Dan Sullivan with Dr. Benjamin Hardy. Dr. Benjamin Hardy is the actual writer of the book. But the Who, Not How, this book is awesome. This book actually is awesome. So I want to just, again, talk about book bar is on page 80, right? It's page 80 and 81. And it's the quote, "Time is money," right? Time is money. Now, who came up with that quote? I never knew this. I was like last week years old when I found out that it was Benjamin Franklin who came up with that. And it says, the quote above is probably the most famous quote about time by Benjamin Franklin, a man known for his productivity and amazing talents. In his 84 years, he became an influential politician, a diplomat, as well as an actor, musician, inventor, and satirist. The man knew the value of time. And what's crazy is that, I've always been, time is money, time is money. I don't got no time to be sitting here with you. I'm always looking at the clock. How is it making me money?
Right. But
craziest thing is time, money is something that's valuable. So it's a deeper revelation came to me, which was time is valuable. It's as valuable as money is to a person, even more so. Right? Because you can't get money back. Excuse me, you can get money back, but you can't get time back. So time is extremely valuable. Time is, and I put in brackets, like money. You know what I'm saying? To help me understand that. Yeah, to help me understand that. Go for it, Max.
Yes, sir. So my book bar is at page 111, second paragraph, where he says, Joe sees relationships like he sees clothing. If an outfit doesn't fit right, if it's too tight or too baggy, or if it's not functional, then the relationship doesn't make sense. And man, when I read that bar, I told myself, it makes a lot of sense, because you wanna wear a shoe that fits you, or you wanna wear a shirt that fits you, and you don't wanna force yourself to be in a certain situation that you don't necessarily agree upon or feel comfortable in, as well as being in an environment that forces you to act a certain way. So
right.
As long as you wear the shirt or the shoe that fits you, you're well off.
Craziest thing about that, y'all, and the craziest thing about that, Max, is that what happens when you put on a certain shoe? Again, you put on a certain shoe or pants, or specifically like pants and shirts, right? Shoe size, if we're adult men and women, that's pretty much the size that we have, right? Yeah. But you put on a certain shoe size, or pants or shirt, and you're at a certain weight. They fit perfectly fine for you at that specific time. But when you say, yo, I gotta drop like 50 pounds, you know what I'm saying? I gotta drop 100 pounds. Those shirts and those pants don't fit anymore. They don't fit the goals that you're looking for. They're baggy now. So again, that bar just made me think about something really heavy. Again, everybody can't go. You know, yeah, you might have a favorite shirt or you might have a favorite something, this, that, the other. But if you are losing weight, or again, if your goals are to just look, I'm letting it go today. I'm letting it all fly. You know what I'm saying? I'm gonna go ahead and forget the summer body. I'm rocking winter body all year round. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
The clothes are not gonna fit anymore. You know what I'm saying? So whatever your commitments are, everybody, everything, you might have to let go of some stuff, right? Interestingly enough, I was talking to somebody I really care about, and they were having some issues trying to figure out what to do in life next. They were given resources, given resources and things like that. A relative passed away. They were given some resources, and those resources were almost about to drown them, right? And I'm like, they're like, I got all this, that, and the other type of stuff, and nobody's trying to help me. I got this. And I said, yo, like, why don't you just get rid of some of that stuff? Just get rid of some of that stuff, right? And a really beautiful analogy came. It's like if you're on a ship and let's say you're on a ship and that ship has gold on that ship, right? And you're trying to get to somewhere, but you got holes in that boat. All right. Now that boat will make it to where it's going with the holes in that boat if it's not as heavy with that gold, right? But a lot of the time is that we hold on to stuff and we say, yo, I gotta keep everything. I gotta keep everything. And the gold or whatever it is, something that was important to you at the time is finna drown you right now. You know what I'm saying? So I said, listen, toss that proverbial gold overboard, drop some of those things that you've been that you've been given, but they're not serving you, and make it to your next destination. Make it to your next destination.
That's a bar.
Yeah, man. So anyways, we are talking about why everybody can't go. So Max, I don't know if you saw like the Beanie Siegel interview on the Drink Champs, but absolutely, you saw it?
No, not yet.
Okay, all right, cool. Absolutely awesome. And if you guys are watching this, make sure you guys check out Drink Champs, Beanie Siegel. Beanie Siegel, for those who don't know, you know what I'm saying, was the Broad Street Bully. Beanie was starring in the star character in State Property, I think 1 and 2. You know what I'm saying? Some real hood classics, you know what I'm saying, or whatever like that. He was a part of
What hand you roll with?
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. What hand you roll with? What was the squad? He wasn't a part of what was their squad down there called? The Philly people.
That's a good question. I would say State Property. No, I don't think it was State Property. No, that was like the label they were trying to fill.
Yeah, I don't know. Anyways, Philadelphia, awesome brother. Oh, that interview, I saw so much growth from Beanie Siegel just being like just the knucklehead hood dude to like the real mature, older man. And so he's telling a story. He tells a lot of stories. You know what I'm saying? It's awesome. But he's telling the story. He's like, a couple things stuck out, right? Nori's like doing like a, would you rather sort of game, you know what I'm saying, with Beanie Siegel. So he's just asking him different questions. So he's like, CEO. He asked him, who would you rather have as a CEO? And he said, Jay-Z or Dame Dash. And he was like, oh man. He was like, I gotta answer that with an explanation. Because he says Jay-Z, he's like, it have to be Jay-Z, but at the same token, Dame's my man. And he said Jay-Z because Jay-Z has learned how to be like smooth, essentially like how to win friends and influence people. If you all remember from some episodes back, we were reading that book really heavy in there. But Jay-Z has learned how to navigate and be a little bit more smoother in meetings and things like that. And that's always all good, right? But he said, yo, Dame Dash's tenacity, like Dame Dash's I care about the person, is something that is just undeniable. And he's like, he said if Dame had Jay's personality, like that would be the perfect mix-up right there. That would be the perfect mix-up right there. So again, why they ended up breaking up, why Rockefeller Records ended up breaking up, everybody can't go. Right. There's goals, right? So Beans was talking about, Beans was like, he's really messed up with Jay. When Jay kind of like, when everybody's kind of breaking up and Rockefeller was kind of, breaking apart, Jay-Z and Beans got locked up, right? I can't remember what it was for, but Beans got locked up. And the judge was asked Jay-Z, he said, he said, Mr. Sean Carter, would you be responsible for the whereabouts of whatever Beanie Siegel's real name is? I don't know what his real name is. But he said, would you be responsible for the whereabouts of him? And Jay said no. And Beans was like, yo, like, that was the big bruh. That was my big bruh at that moment. And when he said no, he was like, that absolutely crushed me. I was mad with, I was feeling some sort of way with Jay for a long time, for a little bit after that, because he's supposed to look out and this, that, and the other. Then he says this, he says, having grown from there as a man, Beanie Siegel says this, having grown as a man, he's like, I get it. He's like, I get it. He was like, I was mad wild at that moment. I was bringing guns on tours and all types of stuff, just, because it could go down at any moment. That was his mentality. And, this is like professional tours that he's doing, you know what I'm saying, or whatever like that. So he's like, he can go down at any point in time, but he's packing, right? So again, it's like, it's that mindset. So he's like, later on in life, I realized Jay wasn't wrong. I'm paraphrasing, but he's like, I probably wouldn't have taken me, been responsible for me either. Because who knows what that would have cost Jay-Z had he said, I'm going to be responsible for Beans. And then Beans, it's like, I'm a grown man, you know what I'm saying? So on and so forth, like, and what that would have cost to Jay-Z. And now Jay-Z's, a billionaire, or, is Jay-Z a billionaire? I don't know.
Yeah, exactly.
Is Jay-Z a billionaire, y'all? You know what I'm saying? Right. So Jay's a billionaire and Beans is not a billionaire. Does the money matter? Not necessarily if your goals are like, if your where you are at that moment match up with your goals, it doesn't necessarily got to be about the money. But if you had goals of financial freedom, you know what I'm saying? Freedom of time, I guess, which can cost money sometimes, a lot of the times. Where is Beanie Siegel and where is Jay-Z? The beautiful thing about that is that Beanie Siegel understands. He was like, yo, for Jay to reach what Jay wanted to be doing, he's like, he's like, everybody cannot go. That's where I got the title from. Everybody can't go. He's like, when you're trying to do something, he's like now. He's like, when he was younger, Beanie Siegel was like, when he was younger, he was like, man, I had children. He was like, I didn't care about that. I was in the streets doing whatever. He's like, now I understand, like, your family comes first, right? That's your actual family. Then he's like, relatives after that come second. He's like, then after that comes your homies, and then there's a hierarchy, because you'll be trying to bring your homie along, right? Everybody can't go, right? You'll be trying to bring your homie along, this is for my music producers and the artists. You got a friend or something like that you're trying to bring along, and they end up doing some some stupid stuff on the road, and it's you that's going to get caught for it. It's you that's going to, I've seen that happen, bro. Like, you know, somebody from guilty by association. Somebody's entourage ends up like doing something, and the person ends up getting locked up off of like some kind of like pretend like RICO stuff. It literally only happens to, you know, people with this hue, you know, and what I've seen, because I've seen plenty of rock stars and all types of stuff mashing up the hotel room, you know, and, you know, nobody really goes to jail. So it is what it is, but you got to understand the rules and the game that you're playing and stuff like that. So I wanted the man to, you know, just open it up with that right there, you know, and again, everybody can't go. So why can't everybody go? Max, talk to us. Why can't everybody go with you on your journey? If you're just joining us, Smokey the Bear 0666, what's good? If you're just joining us, we're talking about everybody can't go on your music journey.
Right.
Whether you're a music producer or an or a singer-songwriter, recording artist, mama, brother, sister, daddy, everybody might not be in a professional place to go along with you. Your homies, your home girls, and you gotta cut them out of the picture at this moment. You gotta cut them out of the picture at this moment because they're holding you down. All right, so
sir,
why can't let's talk about it, man. Why can't everybody go?
First and foremost, I would say people are seasonal. That's the number one reason. You know, some
Right.
people are seasonal. And for you to understand that as an emerging artist or an aspiring artist or an aspiring producer, that once you get into the music business, you got to look at it from a perspective of how many terms could you do with a certain person. If the foundation of the relationship is not strong enough, then it's important to understand how many years could you do business with that individual and speak it into existence at the beginning of the relationship, just to know that everything is clear and intentional. Now, once you have an idea of how things could turn out or may turn out, you'll have a clear idea of how your career could be laid out. For the most part, you know, if you look at managers, a lot of managers do not tend to be with artists for more than 2 years. So if you have,
why is that?
For the most part, I would say the reason why managers don't tend to be with a lot of artists for more than 2 years, sometimes it could be because of the personal relationship they have with the artist. It could be also because of the simple fact that managers have a lot of clients and can't necessarily handle too many clients for a period of more than a year or 2 years. And sometimes it could be just the agreement both parties may have, just to say, okay, you know what, let's do 2 years and let's see how things could turn out after those 2 years, simply to test out the waters. Another point I was going to mention on some people are seasonal is that, you know, it goes back to the saying of, oh man, I went to high school with that individual. I may not see him, you know what I mean? And then once you get out of that environment, you go into a new environment, which is college, and that person is not going to go to college, then that was just a season. And you could look at it from a perspective of a short period of time, and then you move on to the next.
Exactly. Right. So to that point, like, that's just, again, it's, I had some European American friends, you know, who in high school, in DC in high school, you know, we would smoke together, we would drink together, you know, and kick it and chill, you know, different, you know, on almost probably every other weekend, because I had a bunch of different friends. But yo, for real, like, they were very, very, very much serious when it came to like heading off to college. Like, they went off to college, you know, and I didn't see them for at least maybe at least a few years, or maybe they might have came back, but they went off to college, and it was like, yeah, you know, like, thank you. Like, you know, we went from hanging out every weekend in high school to, I don't really know if you're going to benefit me in my goals later. I'm talking about my so-called white friends or whatever like that. And I realized that, and that hurt me. It was like, man, yo, like we're supposed to be homies and things like that, this, that, and the other, so on and so forth. Well, it just so happened that we were like, we all had the same common goals and, and interests at that moment. When I started taking, my life more seriously, and just even as a parent, as a family man and things like that, I had to step back from my brother type of, my sandbox, what I'm saying, which is what we call them, my sandbox homies, because my sandbox homies, we had different goals. It was okay to every day, what I'm saying, y'all, we used to, look, my 10th grade year in high school, we would come to school, we would come to school, stand out in front of school from like 8 to 9 o'clock before it was time to go into school, and just cut up Joan on everybody, roast people coming into school, and then we would leave and go smoke an ounce, you know what I'm saying, or whatever like that. And that was almost like every day of that 10th grade year. And so that's what really brought some of my friends together at that moment, is because we're all like smoking and drinking and things like that. But once our goals and principles changed, I was like, man, gosh, I can't even hang. You know what I'm saying? I can't even hang like no more. And I have to change my environment to do something different. Hold on one second.
In the phone call?
I got a phone call. I will call you back later. Sorry about that. On my telephone. Anyways, so common goals and life principles are different or have evolved in different directions from when you all started. They should be evolving. Mm-hmm. You should be evolved. Things should be evolving. Like that happens all the time. People are surprised that when bands get together, this always happens with a rock band, is that, 3 or 4 gentlemen get together, and they are, 3 or 4 gentlemen get together. They're like in a band and all this, that, and the other. They're doing drugs together. They're chasing women together. One of the dudes is in the band. They grow maybe like 3 or 4 or 5 years, maybe 10 years together. And they're like, you know what? Like, somebody's like, I got to change my life. Somebody gets some children. Somebody might have like a life-threatening occurrence that happens to them. And they're like, yo, I got to change. And how do I change? Is I got to get out of this environment that I'm in, which also happens to be like my bread and butter, but somebody ends up leaving. Your goals and your principles change and stuff like that. You go into different directions. You should be evolving, constantly evolving. Some relationship, you should have the idea that, okay, when this ends, I feel like in the Western culture, there's always this kind of, fairy tale that everything goes on forever, but you have no idea. There's so much stuff that could pop off. The truth is, bruh, and it's difficult truth, bruh, but you and I we might not even have a falling out. Somebody might just not make it out of this day.
It's real. That is 100% real.
And if somebody doesn't make it out of this day, that means that, well, we didn't have a disagreement, the whole, the thing just ended, you know what I'm saying, or whatever like that. So there's got to be constant goals, moving forward, and people just understanding, look, like, as long as our principles and our goals are aligned, we'll be here. But if they're not, and if we grow past them, it's okay. We don't need to take them personally.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that was powerful, man. Kendrick, I didn't even notice. I learned this yesterday, that Kendrick Lamar used to be J-Rock's hype man for over 8 years. And for those of you who don't know who J-Rock is, he's another artist who's part of the TDE camp, Top Dog Entertainment, which is the label owned by Top Dog.
Right.
And he used to go to their shows and make sure he knew J-Rock's lyrics, boost his confidence, improve his performance just by being there. Sometimes once you have a hype man, that's a good way to improve your performance, because you may forget some of your lyrics, and he may add a certain swag to your stage presence that you could later utilize to your own advantage. And
we don't want to exclude the sisters, bro. We don't want to exclude the sisters. A hype person. A hype person.
And I wrote hype person. That's funny, but that's the yeah, I get that.
No, it's all good. It's all good.
Thank you for that.
I'm just messing with you. But anyways, so you were saying, Beverly Bellevue, what's good?
So now, once you have a hype person, that could increase your confidence, and it could increase it could improve your stage presence as an emerging artist, or if you're a music producer, someone who could boost your confidence too when they're in the studio with you could be beneficial to your game, or even to your uprising. Now, all this to say that once you have a person that has the same vision as you, or even understands your vision, that always is going to lead you to the next level. And one thing that Kendrick understood was that he had to be patient, and he had to understand what his role was. Had it been the other way around, where Kendrick was not necessarily patient or did not necessarily understand what was his role, then he would have missed out on a lot of opportunities that would have not turned out to be the person who he is today. So it's always important to know who you are, what's your role, and to be patient in the process.
I had no idea that Kendrick Lamar was J-Rock's hype man. Like, not at all. You know what I'm saying? Like, not at all, bro. Like, that was absolutely profound to me. I mean, I knew that they all rolled together. I knew they were in TDE, Top Dog Entertainment, but I had no idea that he was his hype man. Right. And so that reminds me of, like, again, knowing your role, playing your position, and even the people having respect in that position. You know, it reminds me of Busta Rhymes and Spliff Star.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying? They've been rocking. That's his man. People have come up with all sorts of weird, because it's really weird. People aren't used to seeing men like hanging out together and being tight like that. You know what I'm saying? Without there being any fault. It's specifically like, brothers and stuff like that, And so they were like, again, there's got to be something, homosexual about what they're doing. There's got to be some sort of secret relationship. And it was like, look, like, this is my role. You know what I'm saying? And so we saw Spliff Star just going from being in the videos and things like that to then having, like, speaking parts and little acting parts in the video. Like, Spliff Star understood, Busta, like, I'm secure in myself as a man to know, who is the talent here when it comes to this music stuff. We have no idea. Spliff Star could have been an awesome dice player or card player, and or basketball player. He could whoop man Busta's behind every single time that they come together or whatever like that. But on this music frontier, and to make money in that arena, again, just playing his position, like Tesla too. I don't think that. I mean, plenty of people have said, "What's my guy's name? Who's the Tesla dude? What's his name?"
Talking about Nickel? No,
not Nikola Tesla.
Tesla.
No, the Tesla driving cars and stuff like that. I can't remember.
Elon.
Elon Musk. He's got such a weirdo name, like Elon Musk. Like, smell like a cologne. Like, he sounds like a cologne, Elon Musk. So, plenty of people have been like, Elon is not even the most famous dude or the smartest dude on any of that type of stuff. He's like, Elon is just playing his position in the company, of Tesla, and he's the face of it. He's a dude who, is making the movements and stuff like that. So again, knowing your position, I also thought about Pedro Knight. Some of y'all don't even know who Pedro Knight is. What's going on, Troy? Some of y'all don't even know who Pedro Knight is. Now, for all of my, Latino brothers, Latin mommies and things like that. Y'all know who Pedro Knight is potentially, because you know who Celia Cruz. Celia Cruz, la reina del salsa. Okay? She is the queen of salsa music. She is a sister, Azúcar Negra. But Pedro Knight is her, or was her husband. They're both deceased now. What I found out is that Pedro Knight, he had his own band. Like, let's say this is like during like the 40s or whatever like that, 40s or 50s. He had his own Cuban band where he's a trumpet player. Yeah. He links up with Celia. Celia is like just kind of coming up and things like that. They get together. He's like, you know what? I'm gonna take a back seat as a lead in my band, and I'm gonna jump back and get behind you. You're the face. That's how we're gonna rock out. Okay, so Celia Cruz, there would be no Celia Cruz if there was no Pedro Knight. Y'all need to know who Pedro Knight is. But that's about, again, acceptance of your role. And they both took the bag back home because their goals were aligned, their principles were aligned. This is the flip side to everybody can't go. Some people can go. And that's what we want, man. You know, you need to be focused in on. You need to be so, like saying, I am so focused in on my goal. I know where I'm going, able to articulate that to the people around you, right? Because a great leader, if you're a music producer or a singer-songwriter or manager or whatever it is like that, you know, our demographic it has expanded. If you are, what's good, Ron? If you are in that space, you need to be clear with your vision and say, yo, look, this is my vision. Put it out there. Who's rolling with me? And you'll get people to roll with you. You'll get people who believe in the vision. As long as you can clearly articulate what it is that you're trying to do, right? If we go back to the who's, right? You know, the I got a vision. Who can help me fulfill this vision? I know what my goals and my principles are. That's what I'm looking for. And sometimes, you know, you might be somebody else's who. And they're like, listen, like, I hear your goals and vision. This is what I want to do. It's a little bit bigger. I need you to, man, go on and jump up into where I'm at. Now you have to play your position. Mm-hmm. You know?
There you go.
Yeah, so we are not going to hold y'all all day long. Not going to hold y'all all day long. We want to just to come on here and just to wrap up and say, listen, your commitment, we talked about commitment all month. We started off talking about Dipset and the Locks, right? And we're all the way here. Everybody cannot go. You just have to accept that. Everybody cannot go along with you on the ride. And if you are trying to do that, you're going to somebody's going to stagnate somebody else. And listen, y'all, listen. Sometimes the person who can't go with you, they need you to leave them behind. Sometimes the person who cannot go with you needs you to leave them behind, and here's why. They need to know and see where they are, right? See where their goals are. They need that fire up underneath their behinds. And they need to say, listen, you know, they need to they need to be met with that challenge of either, man, damn, like that person, you know, I was pissed off about that, like Beans was pissed off that Jay-Z was like, nah, you can't, you know, I'm not going to vouch for you. Yep. You know, because I've got bigger goals. But it literally hit him later on. It literally hit Beans later on and was like, yo, you know what? He was right. And now I'm going to take that understanding and use that. Everybody can't go with me. You know what I'm saying? Beans is like, yo, everybody from the hood family. Are they? Is everybody from the hood family? Is everybody concerned and wants to see you succeed? That's in your team right now.
Use that family word too loosely.
Use that family word too loosely. Mm-hmm. And I know plenty of like hood dudes like who some, you know, again, they was family or this, that, and the other, but yeah, they snitched on you because y'all goals and things like that were different. or they blew your brains out because you were getting too much money than them. You had deeper aspirations than them. Commitment. Your commitment is essentially the most important thing. After that, you need to change that environment. You know what I'm saying? You need to change that environment. Let people know what let people know what you're trying to do. But honestly, find that environment, of like-minded people who are goal-oriented like you are.
Yes. And I wanted to touch on what you said about finding a new environment. The reason why it's important, because you know that some people will only remember you from your past. And the reason why you want to move on to a new environment is, I could give an example of an individual who used to always get bullied in school, right? And becomes one of the best photographers in your city, and you're an emerging artist or recording producer. Once you start seeing that individual blow up, you tell yourself, oh man, I remember such and such. That was Johnny that used to always get beat up. Why would
Johnny?
why would I reach out to him? Then you start reaching out to that person. You realize that person has a self-esteem that was completely different from 10 to 15 years ago. And the price he's setting for his photography is completely blowing your mind. You're like, shoot, why would I respect this man's price? I used to always see him at, that's when you get the game mixed up, because you look at it from a lens of 15 years ago. And that individual increases the amount of money they're making, or even elevates their personality. That changes everything for them.
Yeah. I mean, that's crazy. I mean, because I do know, like, we all have done that, and we're like, oh, that's so on and so forth. That's Johnny from that's Johnny. You know what I'm saying? Or that's Jean Baptiste. You know what I'm saying? If you hang out with the Haitians or whatever like that. But yeah, like, you can definitely, like, paint a certain picture. I mean, people paint that picture of me, bro, like, all the time. I feel like I was a complete knucklehead, and they're like, oh man, that's so on and so forth, yada, 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 this, that, and the other. Man, he was crazy as hell. Some people, no lie, bro. No lie. I'm like, this is like almost 20 years ago, and I'm like in my early 20s and stuff like that, right? About 15 years ago, I would see people from high school, and they'd be like, yo, Matt, what's good, bro? I'm like, yo, what's good? This, that, and the other. I changed a little bit, you know what I'm saying? Got a little bit more mature. They're like, yo, man, for real, bro, I thought you was going to be dead. And I was like, damn.
That's quite harsh.
I was like, damn. It was quite harsh, but it was quite sobering, because it was like, dang, that's like the projection. It's funny, bro, because that's the exact projection that I thought. You know what I'm saying? Like, growing up in DC, back in the 90s and in the early 2000s, right, death or getting locked up, was that was pretty much what you were doing. That was pretty much what you were doing, because we had no real goals. And that's why I understand the young brothers from the neighborhood, but I'm just like, listen, it's whatever. But because we had no real goals, once you got past, I think we talked about that, once you got past like 18,
right,
it was like, oh shoot, like I'm past 18 now, like what in the world, like, do I do? I was like, what do I do now that I'm past 18? You know what I'm saying? I didn't plan. I didn't have any goals for that. Also making sure that your commitment, your goals are higher, will get you further to where you're trying to be. Set your goals high. There's so many different things. Anyways, yeah, I definitely know the truth about what you were saying is that, like, people just knowing you from whatever time back in the day, you know what I'm saying, versus like now and stuff like that, But again, it just is what it is. I've seen that if you set your goals and commitment, if y'all been rocking out today and literally, you know, implementing some of the things that we've been talking about from this whole month, talking about commitment. Like, at the end of the day, yo, people are gonna be more pleased with you setting those goals, actually showing them. Because that's the whole thing, bruh, is that many of us don't have higher achieving goals. Many of us are this idea, you know, this crab in the barrel sort of idea, because many of us don't have no other goals, you know, and many of us aren't actually trying to do anything outside of what we're doing, you know, outside of what we're currently doing. You know, we don't have the commitment. We don't have the goal mindset, you know, and we're not willing to change our environments, you know, or leave some people behind. Everybody can't go, and that's okay. Everybody can't go, and that's okay. You know, so yeah, that's what it is. You know what I'm saying? If you're not following my guy Max Wupese, let me put it in what's it called. Please, man, you know, hop on my guy Max Wupese. Follow this brother. He is getting you right, letting you know what you need to do for attracting gigs as a recording artist, or even the music producers. I like to send you guys over to my guy Max, because outside's opening back up.
Yeah.
Outside's opening back up. What does that say, Troy? I don't understand. What's LYKNY? KYN. Liken yin? That's a new language, bro.
If you know, you know.
Oh, if you know, you know. Okay.
Yeah, it looks like an L too.
It does look like an L. If you know, you know, right? So, outside's opening back up, kinda. You know, it's kind of opening back up. It's kind of, you know, how are they doing with the vaccines up there, man? That's a.
I was just about to talk about that, man. September 1st, it looks like it's their official date that they want to try out those vaccine passports. So you can't go to restaurants. Yeah, man, it's real. You can't go to restaurants, theaters, venues without having your vaccine passport. And a lot of people are protesting at the moment. So
yeah, I have no idea. Listen, man. Oh gosh, I have no. Hey, yo, there's so many brothers and sisters, man, are just like, listen, I'm not getting no vaccine, bro. That thing that I said, you check your WhatsApp, Max. Check your WhatsApp, Max, because that thing that I sent to you, I have no idea why I even sent it to you, because I think it was like, it might have just been really late or something last night. But that thing that I sent to you, it was from a doctor. This has nothing to do with commitment, y'all. But kind of does. But it was from a doctor, a sister who went to speak at, like, I guess to her local Congress or whatever. Essentially, she's a doctor and studies pathogens and things like that. And was just talking about, like, how, like, the vaccines and all these things are not. She's a doctor. She's not like a conspiracy theorist. She's not a white redneck. She's not like some brother with a foil hat on, you know what I'm saying, or whatever like that. Like, she's a legit doctor who has some concerns about it. They talk about like 70% of African Americans have not taken the vaccine, and that's because we had the Tuskegee experiment. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? And the CDC, they told our ancestors here, listen, y'all gonna be, we're gonna get rid of your syphilis. And they did not get rid of the syphilis at all. They just wanted to sit and watch. And so, but that was the CDC, bro. Jeez. That was the Center for Disease Control that told people that. So, knowing that that's in America's back pocket to tell people, go ahead and do something, and it not be something that's actually good for them. Yeah, many people aren't really like, you know, aren't just gonna jump in line right away, you know. we've had some questionable things. You know what I'm saying? Like, and I say we as Americans, but I'm like the dominant forces have had some questionable things. What does it have to do with commitment? Probably nothing. But the simple fact that, you know,
well, since we're talking about shows too, that's important. Yeah.
Right. Because we're talking about shows and we're talking about moving around.
Yeah.
But I can just again see that your commitment is going to have to dictate what you end up doing anywhere. Whether it's like, whether I'm planning for performing shows outside to crowds, or I'm planning on performing my shows and my stuff showing up online, going back to like, you know, your online stuff, which again, you gotta, man, like you need to, I would do all of those things right now. You know, prepare, like set up your little staging area right now, you know, get your music producer, get that get the iRig stream, and even vocalists, because I'm sure you can like probably, you can record stuff and like sing over top of it. So one thing that you could do as a vocal artist, this is a quick little, like, I just thought about this. One thing that you could do as a vocal artist is record your live stream, like some music, you know, that you've got, record everything, you know, your background vocals, and just leave the lead vocals off, and then just do a live performance, you know what I'm saying, of your stuff at home, should the coronavirus stuff kind of pick up. If it's not bad stuff anyways, because you get used to, you know, performing, you know.
That's it.
Less equals more, i.e. population control. Listen, like, bruh, we can, man, have our own conversations offline. I don't want to, I completely feel you on that. That's wild. But anyways, so that's really all we got for you guys today. You know what I'm saying? Follow Max Mupese. Yes. I am Matty the Chef, DC on IG. Just reach out to us, you know, let us know what you guys thought about it. And listen, we will be here, most high willing, Yah willing, we will be here next Sunday to give you all the game, to bring music producers and artists to the same page. All right. Appreciate you guys. Peace.
Love.